Get fired up about your problems. My name is Joseph Darling. This is the Men of High Value channel. We are discussing problems today, or what we might call challenges. But let's just talk about problems. It's okay. It's not like, ooh, I'm going to put a positive spin on it. People have a lot of issues. They've got a lot of problems. They've got a lot of challenges in their lives. And I want to help you to understand how to think about problems in the most effective way possible so that you can actually begin to solve your problems instead of stacking them. Stacking problems, problem stacking is a very bad strategy compared to problem solving. And what is the difference? Let's get into it. There are three categories of life. You got relationships, health, and finance. And very often people are trying to tackle all of their problems all at once on a daily basis. It's a very bad strategy. You want to make sure that you do not diversify your efforts when you're trying to move ahead in life. You need to learn this one word, which is focus. Focus is and will always be the name of the game. Just like the sunshine comes down, the sun, it's spread throughout. It's kind of diversified, and that's why we can actually survive on planet Earth. But if you had one sun, like laser beam, okay, it would basically kill us completely immediately, right? When you channel a lot of energy like that. And this is the same way when it comes to solving your problems. Are you diversified, okay, in solving your issues? Or are you laser focused on key issues, key problems that is actually going to solve everything in your life kind of at the same time? So when you look at your life, and I'm usually talking to single guys in their early 20s, maybe late teens, or maybe older than that, and you're in the situation right now where you're trying to build your foundation for you to create an optimal family lifestyle in the future. You most probably want kids in the future. Maybe you have kids already, but in the future you want that, okay? Which means you are going to have women in your life, okay? Which means that you need to prepare beforehand. Prior planning prevents poor performance, but also you gotta be ready and prepared for the things that are gonna come in your future. Just telling you a quick story. When I got started with having a family, I was like, I want to have kids now. I'm like 22 years old, 23 years old is when I got married. And I was like thinking, man, I can't wait until I get myself a wife. I can't wait until I have kids. And, people have told me that it's not a bad thing to start out poor together with your wife. Oh boy, were they wrong, okay? I started that journey, and it's been now 13 years of trying to dig out of that hole, and we're getting, things are getting really nice now. But man, it was hell to go through the first 10 years of issues, mostly financial issues, because we chose to have 3 kids very quickly after we got married, which was my decision basically, and she went along with it. And we were put in that situation, which was not the optimal way of doing things. So I'm here kind of preparing you and warning you, so to speak, so that you don't have to go through the same mistakes that I did. And the best way to prepare is to simply avoid women altogether and their issues. You know that women have a lot more problems than men do? Have you noticed that? Okay, so once you take women on into your life, meaning as your girlfriend, as your partner, you're engaged to her, or you get married, or you get kids, God forbid, then you are now putting all of her issues and problems into your life, and you're now responsible for her being somewhat happy, and that eats away at your focus when it comes to other areas of life. So you don't have time for those things, and very often what men do, married men do, they choose to basically say, hey, you're unhappy, here are your problems, take your problems, solve your problems, become happy yourself, and then come back to me when you're happy, basically when you've solved your problems. That doesn't work very well. What you need to understand is in the future, You want to build a system, an optimal family system, which we have on this channel and also on the Women of High Value channel, link in the description. You need to understand what the optimal family structure is. But even before that, you need to understand what preparation is needed for you to actually be able to easily solve the problems that are going to come into your life as women enter into your life. This is not the time. You need to get rid of women right now from your life in terms of you trying to get them into your life. Okay, I watched a Patrick Bet-David video just today, and he's talking about masculinity, and he was on point throughout the entire video, except for one thing. He was basically quoting a guy that said that, the goal is that you should go out there and make more money, and then the other thing that you need to do as a young man is you need to go out there and become strong, hit the gym and all that stuff, and then you should also try and get with women. And I'm like, oh my gosh, why did you put the third one in there? That's silly. Like, you're basically ruining young men by actually funneling them towards that arena that is going to create massive amounts of problems for them. If not, huge problems now, they might end up getting issues that they were not prepared to take on during this time frame, okay? If you simply put aside the women aspect, and I'm spending a lot of time on this because this is your biggest issue very often, is that you're so honed in and focused on trying to get laid. You're trying to get women into your life. Put that aside. So now suddenly you only have two categories of life for you to improve on. This is the optimal circumstance and situation. So this is what you'll call the Volcel lifestyle, voluntary celibacy, where you're choosing for a period of time to only focus on money, get that right, and then focus on getting your health right. If you can do those two things and focus and hone in on that, and I would preferably say half an hour of exercise per day is way more than sufficient. You don't need 2 hours, okay? In general, that's it, right? So, which means that you've got a lot of time on your hands to solve that one issue when it comes to money. And if you just simply do that and hone in on that, now the problems are not insurmountable. Once you had, I need to take care of my money, I need to study, I need to exercise, I need to get laid, I need to go to parties, I have family issues, I got religious issues, I got, like all of the expectations of everything. No, there are no expectations. The only expectation is the one that you put on yourself, and that expectation is, I need to get rich. Like, I need to build a strong financial foundation. Let me just get going with that, okay? And then I'll just do 30 minutes of exercise on the side in order for me to be healthy enough and maintain a good health so that I have the energy to actually funnel my energy towards making money. Does that make sense? This one thing, if you just simply did that and began to understand how money works, and I'll just briefly explain that, if you just did this, you're now going to be able to hire a personal trainer very shortly in the future. Now that you've got the financial foundation, you'll be able to handle the economic burden of taking on women. And maybe you don't have kids right away once you get the women, so you have time to build up a massive exponential growth curve of your financials for that time when you do choose to get kids. My circumstance, I probably should have waited 5 years, maybe 10 years in my circumstance. And that's what I recommend for you guys, not necessarily 5 to 10 years. If you have a mentor, like if you're part of the Men of High Value community, it can happen within 2 to 3 years of you getting the women that you want. But right now, you need a temporary time when you don't have any women in your life. So, keeping the principles simply put, you want right now, because you have a lot of problems, and the biggest problem you have is probably self-esteem issues, confidence issues, etc. The biggest thing that you need is to get down to as few problems as possible. Get rid of problems, okay? So that you can take on the problems that are necessary for you to pursue your financial future and building that financial cushion, that financial foundation of yours. That's the number one priority. But if you've got tons of problems in your life, you're not going to be able to take on that burden of other people, right? Because how do you build a financial foundation? It's solving other people's problems, right? If you've got tons of problems yourself, you're not going to be able to solve anyone else's problems. And that's the that's the problem, right? That you're trying to focus only on you. Oh, I need to solve this, I need to solve that. No, just neglect There's one thing, superpower that men have. We have the ability to not care. Can you learn to just neglect everything else except for the things that needs to be prioritized in your life right now? And guess what? It's your financial foundation. So going back to that one small principle that I made a video about a couple of weeks ago about paying yourself first. If you haven't watched that video, I highly recommend it, because that's the number one principle when it comes to building up your financial foundation. Pay yourself first, meaning set aside a percentage of your income immediately when you get your income into income producing assets. Because now you have money working for you, and this is your teammate now. It's not just you working for your income. You have now a chunk of money. You're basically your money slaves, right? You put them to work so that they begin to work for you. And that is basically the secret of building up your financial foundation so that you can handle any other problems in the future. Problem stacking is you neglecting your financials for sure, but neglecting everything else in your life. Guess what? Problems are going to stack. And now you're like, oh, I'm so overwhelmed. I don't have motivation. I'm depressed. I can't do anything. Compared to, I don't have much problems. Oh, there's a problem. Great. Let me solve it. Boom. Taking care of it. Here's another problem. Fantastic. Let me get rid of it. If you live your life this way, you actually will begin to look at problems as a positive thing. You'll be excited about problems. You'll be like, man, I want more problems. Give me more. Suddenly you take on the problems of 100 people, 1,000 people, 1,000,000 people, and now you're changing the world. This is the way you were designed to become a leader, someone who actually changes the world and make other people happy, lots of people happy. And if you make lots of other people happy, guess what? You're going to become happy in the process. Thank you so much for watching. You guys are absolutely amazing. I'll see you guys in the next one.